Welcome to the Unfinished Drafts podcast. I'm Dusty,
I am Nate.
and here on this podcast, we talk about the unfinished story of our lives, whether that be certain interests, specific topics, or just regular stuff going on. Today on this podcast, we're delighted to have a special guest with us. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello there. My name is SapphireBrightEyes. I am... Fuck, what do I do?
I mean, you
Well,
can say a brief intro about yourself.
I've known Dusty for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years now. We met back in the... I wouldn't say the heyday, but during my heyday of being in the abridging community, where I did nothing but write shitty fan fiction and hang around people that were more talented than me. But since then, I have just kind of been existing and I'm just happy to be here right now. I was brought on here to talk about Batman, I believe, and that is very exciting to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as noted, today's topic is going to be about Batman. Specifically, Nate, you can take away for this part, like specifically what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so I've been thinking roughly. I've been thinking a lot about what we can do for unfinished drafts topics for future podcasts, and it was hard for me to think of one depending on which topic would be interesting for me and Dusty, and would it also be interesting for inviting special guests to talk about these topics that we may be passionate about talking about. And then I thought about Batman because Dusty and I are fans of Batman for a long time. I think when I first met Dusty back in 2008, I mean, I think I was not familiar with Batman at the time. But then when I remember The Dark Knight when it came out, and then when it first premiered, I think both of us watched it with excitement, and we were obsessed
Yeah.
with the memorable scenes in it, and so
We used to
that's
reenact it a lot too when we were younger.
Aw.
hmm we did it because it was really amazing. And I think at that point on, I think I've learned more about how the character of Batman and the world of Batman, as well as other characters in the world of Batman, really affect us on being fans of this wonderful superhero. And so, and I would say the reason I brought this up is like reflecting on how Batman really impacted us throughout the years. Like I know that like Dusty got an action figure of Batman, and
I had
from
a
that
whole
point on,
treasure
he would
chest of
watch the
action figures, actually. I had a whole, like,
really.
yeah, there was a cousin of mine who had a lot of Batman action figures and memorabilia, and had to move, but they didn't want to give it away, so they gave it to our family, and I was super excited about it because I used to have it. Lasted until I was like 6 or 7 years old, and then we had to move.
hmm Yeah, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
You have a lot of action figures, and then I think basically before we get excited about talking about Batman, I just want to bring this up. That the reason I brought it up is because, like, again, Batman has such a great impact on us, and it's still impactful for us today, especially, uh, I mean, being, I'd say going through a lot of adaptations of Batman in different ways, and I think from that time forward, well, onward, I think the impact of Batman still hits us today. And so I just want to bring this up about like the inspirations behind Batman. Like, what do we really think about Batman from the start? And how do we learn more about Batman as new material pops up, how new movies, new TV series, or anything pops up. And so, uh, and even till today, like, uh, there's even the Batman film that came out, and I know that we had a bit of a talk about it, that we were awestruck by it. And so,
Hmm.
um, I would say, since I've heard a bit about how Dusty uh, encountered Batman for the first time, and even me as well, I think maybe Sapph, I would like to hear from you on what brought you to know Batman from the start.
Hmm.
So,
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think being a kid of like a certain like I'm much younger than both of you. I was born in 2002. So I
mhm,
was oh god, I was like 3 years old when Batman Begins came out, and I didn't see The Dark Knight when it came out. I was too young for that, but like as a kid I had always like been slowly ramping up into my interest in superheroes. And I think at a certain point, and especially with the internet, where back during some of those days of YouTube, you would get like just like episodes of Batman the Animated Series, just uploaded in like 7 parts or whatever, or just going to websites that I did not know was giving the family computer a virus at the time,
mhm,
to watch it.
mhm,
Yeah.
But I had always been interested in the Batman that had kind of come before, like the Nolan Batmans, and I do like the Nolan Batmans a lot. Like those are excellently made films, but I distinctly remember the first movie I ever rented from a video store from the Blockbuster that was, I think, closed a year later after I rented this from it, was
mhm,
the Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin.
Mm.
right.
I think I think the thing about Batman and why he's still so appealing is that like it's colorful and weird and appealing to kids as this badass figure, but you do really grow with the character. There's a lot of Batman shit that's like there's a lot of things about Batman where you watch it as a kid and you get part of it, you know? Like it's one of those things where with really good Batman media like the animated series, you grow up and remember things like the Almost Got Him episode or the Baby Doll episode, and you grow and think, man, that was really fucking good writing for a show I watched when I was that young. Like, I think a lot of Batman's staying power is very much in the people that love Batman enough to keep making good Batman media, and like Bruce Timm, like Matt Reeves,
Mhm.
just people who adore the character.
Hmm. And we still see those today.
Even
Absolutely.
through animated too, like with the most recent. Well, it's not recent anymore, but like the animated universe that they were doing. Even
Yeah.
though it wasn't Kevin Conroy, I still think Jason. What is his name? Jason Mara. That's his name. That voiced
Jason O'Mara.
O'Mara. Jason O'Mara. Yeah.
Okay.
He did really well as a dark brooding Batman that like I think we could get behind.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And as well, I really should have checked out Cape Crusader, the new animated series that Bruce Timm did,
Mm.
but I never got around to that.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much to watch. The
There really
question-
is.
And the question is, do I have time for it? Will it be good or whatnot? It's just, oh man, there's so much to look at.
TV,
so-
especially sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
TV, especially in the streaming era, is such an investment because things are easier to sort of inch along with when they're coming out episodically. I think that there is something to not just like the way they're shown to us, but the way they're made now, where a lot of streaming shows will kind of ditch the episodic formula and a lot of creators I've heard like talk about how they're making like a 6 hour movie. It's like nobody wants to watch a fucking 6 hour movie.
I think that's probably just because like a lot of people tend to binge stuff nowadays, so that's probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
a contributing
I-
factor to it.
Binge is
Yeah.
a very hard thing too. Like
Mhm.
if I'm gonna binge something, it needs to just grab me by like the collar of my shirt immediately, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all about involvement, and you know how there's half-hour episodes or 1 hour episodes or even 2 hour specials, and there will be series that are gonna be released every week, and I think that's all about, I think, being involved, but also curiosity on what will happen next,
Hmm.
so to speak. And so, yeah, I think there's like so much so much interest on what will you do. I think I would say what you'll do with the original series, but also with adaptations too, especially Batman, especially when new creators want to add a new spin
Hmm.
to the series they create, and and I man, there have been a lot of those, and even I can question myself, would I be interested in it or not? That's
Yeah.
and
And like
and Batman has been popular for a long time, and so
Really.
it's
sometimes,
existed for a long time, yeah.
yeah, and I think I would be worn out if I see too much of it, but it still remains. It's like, what the heck?
Because I think specifically about like so we have the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson films,
Yes.
which I thought the first one was excellent. I'm going to be checking out that Penguin show because it
Yeah.
looks interesting.
Mhm.
And we are getting a sequel to that Batman movie.
Mhm.
However, also they're making their new DC movie universe that's headed by James Gunn,
Yeah.
and that is also going to have its own Batman, which is
Which is, I don't know, weird.
it's
Isn't
weird,
Robert
It's
but
Pattinson the new
disconnected.
Bat-
It feels
It's-
disconnected.
it's disconnected, yeah. And
Yeah.
the only thing that has me interested in that is the fact that it's going to be specifically a new Batman and a Damian Wayne.
Mm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
probably trying to like emulate the animated universe in a way, because that one started with Damian Wayne.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Man, it's a lot to cover.
Yeah,
Really is.
I mean that is a lot of like movies there though, with like in addition to it. So, hey.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I didn't really. Well, I only know about the movies, but I've got to think about when I would have time to watch the animated series and whatnot. I mean, there's so much to look at,
mhm.
and I assume that Dusty and you, Sapph, have watched more of Batman stuff than me, but I I just go to the movies just not to waste time.
Right.
But
I feel that.
Yeah, but then recently I've gotten more invested in original TV series, but not material that's been rerunning or being adapted again and again and again. And it's just uh, I would just watch something else. But I think maybe I just imagine how much comic material has been published in the past, and there's all these fans creating their own stuff on how they're amazed with Batman, and so man, it's a lot to talk about Batman. And probably if I want to move forward, I think one of the aspects that I've gotten out of Batman, the world of Batman, is the characters themselves. I believe,
Mm.
like I would be real. I think I heard from you, Sapph, on how we grew up with Batman, how
Mm.
Batman struggled, and then how Batman had to force to grow. to fight a world of injustice and so forth. But it's not only just Batman struggling through trauma and then building up all the physicality to beat up bad guys and whatnot, but there's also some human aspects in other characters where not just Batman being vulnerable, but then you have like the villains being vulnerable. I think I
Mm.
remember there was some aspects of that in the animated series where we explore more. Was it the Rogue Gallery, I believe?
The Rogues
Yeah.
Gallery, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, especially Joker and then Riddler and Harvey Dent. And you think, oh man, these characters are not really evil as we expected them to be.
I
but
think very big example of that is Mr. Freeze actually.
oh man,
Mhm.
Mr.
When you look
Freeze.
at his characterization in the animated series too.
Yeah, which is really tragic.
Yeah.
It's like, man, really cares about his wife. And he's doing all the best he can just to help her survive.
Mm.
By being in. Was
I
it Cryo Freeze or?
Yeah, cryo freeze. I think that because the dichotomy that makes that stuff interesting too is especially the animated series does this, and it's always been like the thing with him and the Joker, but like
Mhm.
it's it's the whole one bad day thing from the Killing Joke. These are all people that could have been Batman, and Batman is someone that could have been all these people.
Right.
Mhm.
Like being able to be the only person that empathizes or sympathizes with their situation, because like
Yeah.
Yeah, that people will understand, but then there's some who will not agree with them. And so, yeah, it's interesting that they try to justify themselves through criminal acts. But I think it's hard to say from all the nuance that's been happening within these villains, within these criminals. And so, yeah, like Joker being one of the memorable villains in The Killing Joke. It's crazy how he suffered a lot and then turned out to be who he is. And man, I know that there's a sequel to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker next month.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't I haven't seen the first yet because I know I was being warned in my workplace to not watch the first Joker movie because you might be influenced by violence or
I think you'll be
Oh
fine.
God,
I think you'll be
you
fine.
you will be fine. It's
It's not
so
that bad.
do you
It's not.
so do you
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so Nate, do you know anything about what the next Joker movie is?
I've heard that they're including Harley Quinn.
It's also a musical.
Right. I can't pronounce it. Was it
Folia
Folia
de.
Dia?
Yeah,
Folia
de.
de.
Malaya do.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard about it, and I may not know what to expect, but I've heard those things on the internet on how the sequel will turn out.
It's
Or,
the most morbidly curious I've been about a movie like this in a long time,
Mhm.
because it is something that feels like it could either be uniquely interesting or fall apart completely.
Yeah, I mean, we never know. And the first Joker movie, I think you have both sides of the spectrum where people think it's people think it's interesting, but then people think I don't want to follow that guy because they think he's mentally insane, which is no surprise because that's how Joker's origin came out to be. But I'm not sure. Well, Joker had some kind of divided reception, mainly because there are different opinions about the Joker character, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this one.
I
Maybe
think
maybe the same divided reception, or I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. My thing is mainly I think like the thing about Joker is that you can throw all these things at it that you want. Like, it's definitely it definitely takes a lot from specific movies and like
Mhm.
makes it Joker themed, you know? But like
Mhm.
I think the thing that I find the weirdest complaint about the Joker movie is how unsubtle it is, and I'm like, nothing about the Joker has ever been
Yeah,
subtle.
no, very
Yeah,
true.
never.
No, like,
Like
Like, I think it's all sentimental, but in a twisted way.
like
Like,
it's very easy to turn it into a meme, and I very much understand why it is, but like it's I have this weird relationship with stuff like that where I genuinely feel like sometimes the more memed a movie is, the more people are not going to really like engage with it the way they're meant to.
hmm
yeah, I feel
Which
that.
which I think is frustrating because I know people where like that stuff has ruined very good movies for them. And like
Hmm.
I think Joker, for all of the things you can throw at it, is a well done movie. It looks good, it's fantastically acted, the music is fucking incredible.
Hmm.
And if those are the baseline things we can get with Joker Folie those are the things that I will be happy with. Especially considering that it is very visually interesting. Which is... I feel like we're getting a lot of... How do I put this?
Hmm.
We... My big issue with a lot of comic book movies in general now, and I think the Batman is exempt for this because that movie has really interesting cinematography,
Hmm.
is that they all kind of look the same and are all grayed out and washed out and just don't have that much visual flair to them.
Very
There's not
gritty.
much in the yeah, it's
Hmm.
there's not much to really there's not as much attention put into like that kind of stuff in these kinds of movies, especially since there is a lot of incredibly heavy post-production to figure out very quickly, but like
Hmm.
I think a lot of comic book movies would benefit from putting a lot more focus on the filmmaking.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've experienced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially the
Mhm.
Infinity Saga, where you get to follow along with the six Avengers, the original six Avengers. And you thought, oh man, it's really cool to see these Marvel superheroes on the screen. And you get some of that visual flair too, but then if you see the same flair and if you see that same visual flair on how superheroes do things over and over again, then you,
It's
what do you call it?
oversaturated.
I don't know if yeah, oversaturated. I thought someone would say you would have super comic book movie fatigue,
Yeah.
that you had enough of watching these comic book movies.
Mhm.
And I know that I stopped after Avengers Endgame because I thought it's already the end. Uh,
I'm in a very toxic relationship with the MCU, which sounds ridiculous, but like it's the part of me that knows that a lot of comic book movies are kind of just factory coming out now,
yeah.
and not and that when I say that I need to specify like it sounds really it makes them sound really empty, and I don't want to specifically do that because even a terrible film is made by a very strong group of people
Mhm.
that care enough about it that it would not get done without them.
Yeah.
But I think
And
the most interesting those movies have been in a long time for me was the second Doctor Strange that came out.
oh, Multiverse of Madness.
Specifically because I'm a massive Sam Raimi fan, and the way I've seen that movie put is like it is a Marvel movie that has these tracks in it where the Sam Raimi isms of the filmmaking are just
Hmm.
bursting out and trying to grab out of the audience,
Yeah,
and I
and
love that.
yeah, it's it's interesting that these filmmakers have their own distinct style, like Sam Raimi. I mean, Sam Raimi did the first Spider-Man films. I think
Yes.
Spider-Man is what got me into comic book movies. Ever since I
Spider-Man
was
2 was Spider-Man 2 was the movie that made me decide I wanted to do filmmaking for the rest of my life. Like, and the thing about those is like,
nice.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think the thing is I would like more movies that feel as earnest as those Spider-Man movies coming out again, because it's very difficult it's very difficult for me personally to see like a kid like that was my age when I watched Spider-Man 2 going to see like, and as much as I had fun with it, No Way Home, and like
Yeah.
having that moment of realization of like, this is what I want to do, because like this is me like going off the fucking rails of my own rants, but like I think that if you want to do filmmaking, you should do it for you. And I think like I have my dream jobs for that kind of stuff, but like I
You know
guess
where to
my
start?
fear is like a generation of kids that are like, yeah, no, like I'm gonna do all this stuff and I'm gonna work with Disney for Marvel movies, and it's like you're not gonna, if that
It's
does
not
happen, you're not
guaranteed.
gonna, it's not gonna be what you want.
Yeah, because Disney had their own plans, and that will contradict to what you want to do for filmmaking, and so.
Absolutely.
And this is the problem between, you know, there's like the commercial sector where you have commercial movies making a lot of money, but then they don't have good quality. Whereas you have what was it, independent films, indie
Yes.
films
Yeah.
that care about quality, they care about what filmmakers do, and not worry about the money, even though you're gonna be invested millions of dollars
That
to create something original and fresh. So yeah, I see where you're getting that, Sapph, and I had a distaste for what's going on in the industry, what's going
Oh,
on with the movies.
absolutely.
And sometimes, yeah, and most of the time, my dad asks me, "Hey Nate, do you know which of these movies are good?" And then I would look at the list in a movie theater, and I would just say, like Cinemark, and I would say, I don't think these movies are interesting because you get a lot of sequels that have no taste. They've done rehashes of the past sequels, and then it just leaves you empty.
Yeah.
Or
Like I
or they
I do
do,
the exact same thing with my family.
yeah. And so I mean, it's disappointing where there isn't any original movie that's interesting. And I know that I've watched a few, but
It's
there have been but then I have a few exceptions. Like
it's a weird thing because I do think there is a lot of really interesting stuff coming out, especially even into theaters, as even if it's just for a little bit. But like, I think the hard thing about it is like there used to be such a it never used to be this narrow with movies. I don't feel like,
yeah.
where movies either cost like 22 million, 20 million, or 200 million, and there's no in between of like all that shit. Like you have like the something super independent, you have like maybe like a decently budgeted Neon or A24 project, and then you have like a movie that might as well be tax fraud with how much they're pumping into it. For
That's
legal
crazy.
reasons, that's a joke. But
Yeah.
the thing about it's way harder now because you have to keep your ear to the ground, and you never had to like. I feel like it used to be way more direct with when like movies would really good movies would just like show up more in advertising, and you would know about them more just not even hearing from word of mouth. Word of mouth is more important in cinema than it ever has been, and I think that that's the weird part of it, where like you have to know a guy or be the guy basically that's like that's always paying attention to this.
Yeah, knows about the what's going on.
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a good discussion about how we feel about movies and whatnot, but then we've just went far off on the Batman subject. So,
Yeah,
our
this
sense about that. But I think oh man, there's just so much to think about. I mean, well, original movies, if something is fresh, it's good. I would be interested in it. Adaptations, I may be picky about them, but then I think we'll just never forget on how Batman has so much meaning to ourselves and then well, to us and to our lives. I mean,
mhm.
it it just makes me think a lot of things on how there's so much complexity and nuance uh within the world of Batman. And I mean,
Yeah.
like when we initially talk about the characters, I mean, I would assume all of them are not black and white. I mean, they're all morally gray. I mean, they do things that turn out to be that would bring consequences of their actions, or they would do bad things that would turn out to be good. I mean, you would never know. And so
One of my
you get sorry. I mean, you
uh,
get to see a lot of that with Batman on how he acts as a vigilante throughout the
absolutely.
comics, and
I think
and how the villains and criminals try to survive. Sorry to interrupt you there.
you're good. I think especially one of my favorite things about this is we talked about this a bit earlier about how my favorite live action Batman, like recency bias be damned, is the Matt Reeves Batman with Robert
Right,
Pattinson. One
right.
of my favorite things about the presentation of that movie, and the presentation of the Riddler specifically, is
Hmm.
that the Riddler is always a little out of what's happening. Like the first time we
Hmm.
see him, he's in shadow, he's wearing this Zodiac killer outfit,
Hmm.
he's violent, he's menacing, he seems
Un-
like
Unpredictable,
yeah,
and
he seems like a villain. He seems like a heartless psychopath, you know? And
mhm,
his entire thing is shrouded in mystery. We see little bits of him here and there, and then when he's finally caught and he's finally behind bars and Batman is interrogating him, he's kind of pathetic. Like in the sense that like he's he very much doesn't feel like the same person in a way that like this the whole movie had been building up to this character that is so
I see what you mean.
manipulative and
mhm,
so manipulative and so like brilliant and scheming, but we see him and he's just this like unwell person that lives in a different world than everybody else. He's
mhm,
not he's not some giant mastermind, he's just an unwell person that can do really bad things.
mhm. I mean, ever since he suffered in that orphanage,
Yeah.
where the orphanage didn't get enough finances to sustain itself,
Mhm.
and that is why the Riddler has to suffer through all that darkness after
It's
when
interesting too because there is such a direct parallel placed between Batman and Riddler in a way that would usually be a Batman Joker thing
Yeah.
in one of these movies. And I
Mhm.
think did y'all see the deleted scene they published from Batman
Yeah, with the
from the Matt
Joker.
Reeves Batman?
Yeah,
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 with the
the one,
Joker.
yeah,
First of all, I know people are very split on that Joker. I am a
I'm
big
a fan.
fan of just that character visually.
Yeah, Barry
yeah,
I
Keoghan
think
did a really good job with just what
I
we've seen.
yeah.
Barry Keoghan's one of my favorite working actors right now. I think he's
Mhm.
very good at playing little freaks.
Yeah, or
And
suspicious characters. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
the first time, sorry for a little tangent.
You're
First
good.
time I saw him was in Dunkirk. He
Oh
plays
yeah.
a minor role, but then he moved on to playing bigger roles, and then you get to see what he's capable of as an actor. And I
Yeah.
thought, man, I mean, he acts in surprising ways. I mean, good good job to him.
He definitely deserves all the success that's coming to him. And like I think I find the dynamic interesting in that scene. First of all,
Hmm.
I love the idea of Joker being placed in a more Hannibal Lecter style position where he kind of gets to be on the outside and he gets to be the person Batman comes to in that way, but he
Yeah,
still holds all the power even behind bars.
yeah,
And I think it's fascinating how this version of Joker already has that feeling of like I know like I can see this better than you can,
yeah.
that you're the same as all of us, and I am going to make sure that you know that.
I think
And it's
Yeah,
especially
carried in.
like I'm
Hmm?
gonna prove it to you on what I've seen in seen in my lifetime, and
yeah.
maybe similar with the Riddler, but
Yeah.
it's somehow skewed.
I think that's especially because Batman is not necessarily year one, but is within his beginnings. Like he still shows
Yeah.
a little bit of that weakness, that kind of like that he still has the darkness that like he could very easily turn instead of becoming what we know as the Batman.
Th-
Hmm.
this is a Batman that is he's already at the point where he knows how to be the specific idea of the Batman, the shadowy crime fighter who beats people up in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
But by the end of the movie, he has that turn where he becomes the hero of the Batman and not just the vigilante of the Batman.
Hmm.
I personally wish the movie was cut a little shorter towards the end because like by the point of when he does turn and they add more to it, to me personally I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like
But
you don't have to keep pushing the message.
I I
I
I
mean,
feel that, yeah. I think the
yeah,
movie was
me
kind of
too.
losing me a little bit towards the end when I first saw it, but upon rewatches I haven't really minded it. I think that movie's weirdly really well paced for its runtime.
Yeah, it ran for 3 hours.
I
I thought it
Yeah.
may feel a bit longer for me,
I
but
thought so
I
too.
enjoyed all of it,
I
no matter what.
I think reflecting on it, I think it's still fairly good. Someone made a point a while back on one of my streams of uh, how it felt like if it was just Batman and Riddler, like the Batman Riddler story, it was more focused to that. It might
Mm,
have been a lot more streamlined, paced a
mhm.
lot
Maybe.
more solidly. Like it's still fairly solid despite its runtime, but like I
Like,
think it would have chopped off like at least an hour would have still been fine. Cause
yeah,
like the
like
Catwoman
what?
portion was fine, but like it could have made for a different movie as well if they dedicated more to it.
Uh I
I
don't
mean,
know if I agree with that honestly. I think
I was gonna say,
what's up?
yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to gather thoughts here.
Yeah.
Mm.
I I understand that it could have been streamlined, but then think about uh, sorry about the background noise. Think about the interweaving of like people being connected to like the case of how
Yeah. Like
some of
Carmine
the
Falcone.
yeah, like somehow how some of the corrupt people are being murdered,
Mhm.
and how the Riddler is proving a point, and then it feels like you're in a
Yeah.
mystery movie
I,
It's
where you're gonna fall into finding clues, like you're gonna find clues, but then you're gonna fall into red herrings that no, this clue does not lead you to the right answers. And
right.
I would
exactly.
I would feel the tension, I think, mostly in the second half of the movie, where okay, it's like when they get caught when they caught the Riddler finally, but then he has more in store for Batman when he's hidden his true plan,
Yeah.
which would be shocking to Batman. And so Batman cannot do anything about it because Riddler has planned it all along. And so yeah, that's why.
It still focuses mostly on Batman and Riddler with the interconnectedness. I'm saying
Yeah.
particularly in the terms of like Catwoman.
Yeah.
Her presence was good, and like she added connected connections to Carmen Falcone, obviously. But as far as that's concerned, I feel like the story predominantly focused on Batman and Riddler, and I wasn't sure. I don't remember Catwoman as much having like this prominent appearance in the movie when I'm like thinking back on it. Like I probably
Hmm.
have to watch it again, but if I were to think back on it, I mostly remember Batman Riddler. I remember Penguin knowing better Spanish than Gordon and
I,
and
I was
Batman.
I was gonna say the one thing I would not be willing to compromise on a cut of this movie would be at all reducing Colin Farrell's screen time, because it is incredible. One, it's incredible how they put him just under enough silicone to turn him into James Gandolfini, but
Yeah.
also
Oh yeah.
just the amount of just the he is the funniest character in the fucking movie, and I cannot imagine any scene that he is in without him, even though he's like, I'd even argue he's like, he has less to do with the main plot than Catwoman does, but but he's just so entertaining to be around. He's such a fucking scumbag.
Question then. I'll posit this as a
Mhm.
hypothetical. Say you replace Colin Farrell Penguin with Ewan McGregor Roman Sionis. Would the movie make that much of a difference?
I think so.
Like, as in, like, if you had the Penguin, Crime Boss Penguin with Crime Boss Black Mask, right? Or Black Mask, yeah. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
instead, right?
Black
Like you
Mask.
swap them, right? Like you could still. I don't know how much of a difference the idea, like the concept is. The acting and like how they are involved in the story obviously would be different because that's the point of the hypothetical. But like, I'm thinking like,
I think I think that yeah, since it's a 3 hour movie, the way I would sense the structure of how the Batman story goes is like you have the Batman and Riddler story being the dominant one, right? But then
yeah,
you just have
Mhm.
these subplots interweaving with Batman interacting with Catwoman and then uh, stopping. Sorry, and then you have the subplot with the Penguin and then other criminals. I mean, there's a lot to think about, but it's. I thought it makes sense to me because you're constantly thinking on gathering the clues on what you're learning over time. It's like it's part of the convention of a mystery movie,
yeah,
Mm.
and so
like it all adds into
that
it.
that's yeah that's what I personally thought.
Mhm.
Where
No, I mean
I
that it
constantly
makes for a
you
solid movie for sure. Like because of it.
on yeah, and
yeah,
specifically like on sorry.
but but you guys can go ahead because you
Okay.
guys have your own opinions.
I was gonna say on your point about the Black Mask, Dusty.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's something you can really compare the two, because I think the difference between those two characters is in Birds of Prey, Roman Sionis is a character that is both dangerous and taken seriously.
Okay,
Penguin is a character that is dangerous but is
but
not taken very seriously.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
Yeah, not
he,
really.
he's a mid-level gangster that is a opportunist, and he's smart, but he's not someone that has ever been able to climb the ranks like that.
Okay.
Sionis has
Has-
always been like
He's
yeah.
up there, yeah. Okay, fair point. Bad comparison. Okay, so
Hmm.
so then, what I guess I'm saying is like if you take a writing of Black Mask that is comparable to the Penguin, where like Penguin was sort of kind of shown as the crime boss, specifically in Gotham, or well, quote unquote, one of the crime bosses, right? Like Carmine Falcone was obviously the top of top. Um,
Yeah,
but
he's a right hand to Falcone.
yeah, basically. So
Mhm.
then take if you wrote Black Mask in not a similar way, but as kind of the replacement crime boss, right? Not necessarily Roman Sionis Birds of Prey, Black
Mhm.
Mask, but like like imagine under the Red Hood, uh, Black
Mm.
Mask, right?
I could see that. Yeah, I think in that circumstance there is something interesting you could do there.
Mm.
I guess my worry is like, hmm,
How different would it be?
not necessarily how different it would be, but just like, I think a big thing about Black Mask is that he can so easily be used as a parallel to Batman, in the sense that he is a mentally unwell person that uses this dark, like, mask as a coping mechanism.
As opposed to Penguin, who's
Mhm.
just kind of like he is existing, but is still has his own power.
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
That's fair. No,
yeah, like Penguin isn't like a super important character in there, but he's important to, I'd say specifically he is very important to a lot of beats in like the Batman Gordon stuff, which also I want to say Jeffrey Wright is my favorite Gordon ever.
I
I
I
see that.
I can see that.
yeah.
No, that's fair. Um, I think he's a really solid Gordon. I will say, within that subject, I wish that J.K. Simmons had more time and more
Oh, as
prominence as
Gordon.
Gordon,
Oh, absolutely.
because it feels like he could have
Yeah.
done really well, but he barely any showing of it.
R.I.P. the Batgirl movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, that too. I don't know.
The I
I
get
mean,
go ahead.
interesting observation. Yeah, interesting observations. Like I never thought of.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think then I guess so it doesn't become a matter of like whether or not it is equally as engaging or not. You could probably do a lot more with Black Mask, and then it'd probably be a longer movie as a result.
Yeah,
But
and
It
I feel like
it,
as a
it would have
character
been
and
a.
like I feel like as a character and imagery wise, Black Mask has a lot more going on in that sense than Penguin does. So
Mhm.
Penguin can like be put in that slot of like Falcone's right hand a little bit better.
Right, because he doesn't have as much presence past what he does. That's fair.
Yeah.
I yeah, okay. I guess so it would be different because of the character dynamic, not necessarily less engaging or whatnot,
Mhm.
but it fits more with Penguin than it fits easier with Penguin than it would with Black Mask. You'd have to write around it. So I'll concede
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying though. I just think that like there's also a little bit in the movie that I feel of like part of the reason that Penguin is there is that at the end of that movie, even if there wasn't like an entire TV show they were making about it, like it's the Penguin. We know what he's going to turn into.
Right.
It's kind of like the Gotham TV show where it's like right now he's this
Yeah.
sort of like he's this gangster that isn't very well respected, but we know where
He's gonna go.
he's going to go, and at certain points in the film, like Falcone's assassination, we know how he's going to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
I couldn't imagine how things vary from the comics to the media now.
Hmm.
So
Oh.
much to think about.
Yeah.
And then you set up these expectations on that, but then the creators done these things in a different way, and then that deviates from the original comics. So
I
that
mean,
I'm not sure, but it's up to the creator's vision.
yeah.
I reckon.
Interpretation is always going to be different, especially between animated medium, comics, and then the live action stuff. It's like I don't think there is an exact one to one that you've seen. I think the closest one-to-one is probably animated series to the comics, and even then, that's kind
Yeah.
of like there are differences for sure. Because Mr. Freeze wasn't always the character he was. It took until that particular introductory episode in the animated series to go like, there's more to this character than we thought. That's
Yeah.
when
It's also
everyone started
like
doing it.
it's also a thing of like it's kind of a loop where like it's always going to be the comics are going to be feeding into the adaptations, which are going to feed back into what the comics want to do.
Yeah.
Like you see it a lot with, especially with the MCU, where Iron Man is no longer an alcoholic or something
By
like
the-
that. That might be a bad example, but like just a little more MCU-ish on the characters.
Yeah.
By the way, we didn't mention about the video games too.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
it.
yeah.
Man, the Arkham games are also really gritty as well.
Ark
And-
Arkham. So, I streamed a couple of those games with my friend Regro, and the thing about there's a video essayist I love named Jacob Geller, who recently had a video on like the best looking games of all time and what that means, and he had an additional video on Arkham Knight alone, where he opens it with something that kind of made me could do a double take, which is that Arkham Knight was built on Unreal Engine 3,
Mm-hmm.
and like, granted, the developers have basically called it Unreal Engine 3.5, but like it's that game does so much to make its world feel alive and beautiful and dark and wet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way to highlight the specific like nature of the rogues gallery, specifically how villainous they can get and like how
Oh yeah.
dynamic they are as rogues gallery characters.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is crazy, and even you can't deny the graphics
Yeah.
in video games nowadays, as these characters would feel, I wouldn't say realistic, but that there's been a really great distinction between the video games and the animated series as well as the live action movies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Every
And
single
I do-
detail-
Yeah.
I mean,
Just real quick, I wanted to give some love to Rocksteady, the developers of the Arkham series, because today there were like a lot of layoffs at their studio because of that, because of the failure of that Suicide Squad game that nobody really wanted.
oh,
So,
uh,
and I think it's just important that I want to emphasize how special those games feel, where it's like you have they're so aesthetically pitch perfect for what they want to do. They have such a specific style and tone, and like it's great too because you get that it's still very like goofy and comic booky at times, but put through that more realistic lens, and you get to have it both ways, where you get to have Batman being dark and more gritty, but also you get to hear Kevin Conroy's voice coming out of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like especially with
was
his
it for
performance.
one last time? Yeah, was it for one last time?
No, that's so he did Crisis on Infinite Earths was his last ever like voice appearance as Batman posthumously, yeah.
Okay.
But like prior to that, I think he'd voiced Batman maybe a couple times before afterwards, like as like one-off appearances or stuff like that. Also caveat to the Arkham games, Joker turning into Bane Joker was maybe a bit much.
It was ridiculous. That
Yeah.
did not have to happen.
Yeah. That being said, though, like
Yeah.
Joker in the Arkham games has one of my favorite designs. I still, to this day, I want to see Willem Dafoe dressed up as that Joker, or like depict him
Oh,
in some
yeah.
way as that Joker.
He's talked before, like, he's like, I don't really want to play the Joker, but it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. it seems like it'd be a lot of fun. Not that he needs it, because he's already got the Green Goblin, who is basically kind of that as Joker as you'd get with Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe should be able to do whatever role he wants and doesn't want.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's already a prolific actor.
Yeah.
So.
To your point though.
Yeah.
Nate, yeah, like it's really interesting. Even the video games having their own depictions of Batman and like the Rogues Gallery, and even the Bat family in general too. The way they depict Jason Todd as the Arkham Knight, as opposed to just the Red Hood.
Yeah. Really interesting. I don't have the Batman geek within me.
No,
so
it's okay.
so
No, no, it's I think if it boils down to it, I think it's essentially like what Sapph said and what you said. Like, Batman has always been about the morally gray, where it's not right or wrong, and you will always have people who were good but turned bad because of one circumstance that put them there. And the Batman that we know in the animated series has been there, and that's why he is as strong as he is, because he knows how to sympathize. Like, look at as an example, like Harley Quinn, like the Harley Quinn's Day Off episode, where like he's just trying to sympathize and make sure that she's able to be okay after some rehab, but no, she's still Harley Quinn at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Apologies, just something grabbed my attention for a sec, but I'm still here.
No worries.
Yeah, no worries.
But no, yeah. To summarize the point is like, you guys have it where like Batman has always been about everything is complicated, and everyone's like Batman has been there just as much as the villains have been where Batman is. So.
And I would like to say too that not only do we remember Batman for the content that we all adore and respect for a long time, I think what I also mentioned about this podcast topic is I mean, we all know Batman, but then I also think how it also influences. And I want to say personally to me that all this morally gray stuff about being invested in characters is what inspired me to do what inspired me to be a storyteller. I mean, Batman is one of those things that inspired me to write.
Same.
Yeah. And I know that I've got, I think, several passionate projects that deal with morally gray characters, but they're all original in a way on how you know more about characters, on what they do, on how they act, and how they face all the consequences and whatnot. And so, I mean, I imagine my characters going through difficult lives.
Yeah.
Because they may not know what they're doing, but they think they know what they're doing. It's just hard to say. When you perceive them. Yeah, when going through pains and then perceive them as not only really bad people, but also human. I know that Dusty and I have been talking a bit about this. Like no matter what you do as a human being, you're still human.
Yeah.
And so Batman was one of my big inspirations to write. And I agree with Dusty as well for going through that same writing path. In fact, this is why in Unfinished Drafts we would like to talk about this stuff. And even outside of the podcast, we would like to talk about story ideas together. See what's interesting and what happens next and whatnot. And so, yeah, there's that. I'm not sure about you, Sapph, if you have any influence.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Batman.
They have a lot of influence in general, I think, based on conversations I've seen
I'm super sorry. I'm super sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Influences from Batman in like your stories and stuff, like story ideas.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
I
I
mean,
think.
well, I kind of heard that you want to do some filmmaking, but do you have
Yeah.
other influences or?
Yeah, I think the Matt Reeves Batman is like it's like it embodies a lot of like things I love about about movies right now. It takes a lot of influence from takes a lot of influence from 70s cinema. It takes a lot of influence from like especially in the cinematography, like uh a lot of stuff like that. And I think how do I put this? It's I think the sort of rubbery, cartoony style of the older uh Burton and Schumacher films is a big influence for me because I really do miss when these kinds of movies looked like that. I think for as flawed as like the Schumacher films especially can be, they very much do feel like they're having fun in a way that I feel like a lot of movies right now just don't know how to.
Like
Yeah.
it stands out more because of how either like the set design pops out at you because of like how extravagant it is, or like
Hmm.
how how emphasized some of like the fighting choreography is, or like the sound effects like Joel Schumacher. um
Hmm.
that being said though, no, I think you're very right on that. Like they don't pop out as much, they don't like just have fun with it. And it doesn't like stand out a whole bunch. Whereas like something like Matt Reeves' Batman movie stands out a bit more because it, like each character, and much to the same way the Joker movie does stand out too, because like everything that needs to be emphasized is emphasized, and everything that needs to stand on its own for a little bit stands on its own.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is something you really appreciate because everyone's got their distinct style. They got their own aesthetics to test out. And yeah, that I like too. I mean, everything about Batman, like story characters and then the visual design, even the action, uh, is what holds everything together and what makes Batman great and special. So I'd say it's something to always look back to
Oh,
and
absolutely.
yeah,
Um,
and even remind us about how special it is and then how it could influence how we behave and even appreciate the artistry. I'd say the
Hmm.
vividness within Batman, and so I
There,
think
there, there's so much you can do with Batman visually, you know, and there's so much that
mhm,
has been done with Batman visually.
yeah.
yeah,
Even in like the Justice League, Batman has shown to have a lot of interesting characters that pop out. Obviously, the Joker's the standout. He's had a number of entire episodes dedicated to like stuff he's doing. Like one noteworthy thing from I don't know if it's unlimited or just regular Justice League, but like the Justice League is trying to put, I think it's just regular, where they're putting it like trying to disarm bombs, and like the Joker has a one-off conversation with Flash where he's like, "Even you can't disable this bomb without your speed. Shut up." What kind of
Exactly.
what kind of argument? What kind of retort is that? Also, I'm noticing I'm peeking on OBS while
Oh
I'm trying
boy.
to, yeah. Uh, but that's okay. I don't think that'll be too much of a problem. And maybe a little bit. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah,
Um,
man,
but
I'd say it's.
you go ahead.
Sorry if I have a loss of words, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's something that we can always go back to. And so it's still Batman's still amazing to us this day. And I don't know. I don't know, Dusty, if you because I felt I don't have anything to talk about unless you
I
want to
see.
talk for a very
No,
long time.
I think we pretty much kind of discussed the summary points. I think the only thing left is like in the back of my mind I was like, should we talk about like just gush in the seconds go like, okay, who's your favorite Alfred? Who's your favorite
You know
Alfred?
what? You know what? I am so down for that.
I know there's gonna be
I mean, Michael
Okay.
Caine, but honestly, I do think Jeremy Irons needed a little bit more screen time.
No, very much. Michael
I
Caine,
did,
yeah, for sure our favorite as well, I think.
I did,
okay.
I did, however, also like the interpretation where Andy Serkis was a bit more of like showed a little bit more of Alfred's military background and how he was the one to train Bruce.
Yeah. That was really interesting. And also well, okay, I think as far as emotional bits, like Andy Serkis did really well on that one part, but like I don't think you can beat Michael Caine in terms of
Oh,
like,
no one
emotional
can beat
bits.
Michael Caine in that job.
Yeah.
Michael Caine is, I think he's the wise Alfred
Yeah.
and the one who really cares for Bruce.
I would go
So-
as far to say that I don't think the Nolan trilogy works without him.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I think that's for sure. Like he is the
Ever
sort of
since-
the rock of the movies.
Yeah. And the great father figure, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sense that throughout the Dark Knight trilogy, and so the Nolan trilogy. And so, I like Michael Caine. Okay, what would be the next question?
Who's your
Other question.
I think we all might be in agreement, but just in case, who is your favorite Joker? Live action.
Oh wow. I mean, Heath Ledger is the obvious one, but Heath Ledger is my favorite Heath Ledger's Joker, if that makes sense.
That's very fair, yeah.
It's a very different approach from any of the other Jokers, you know, and I think as stupid as his plotline was, like in the TV show, I would have loved Cameron Monaghan and Gotham to like be given better stuff to work with.
Oh, right.
No, that's
He
very
was
fair.
in- Was he in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Jedi Order?
Yeah.
The same guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fallen Order and the sequel to it, which I forget the name.
Survivor, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He did very well, despite not being allowed to be called Joker, as two different iterations. He did Jerome Valeska and then Jeremiah Valeska. Jerome was more so as you put it, the Heath Ledger Joker, because he was the chaotic one who just, reveled in it. Whereas Jeremiah was like the kind of obsessive.
Jeremiah got the acid bath by the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And he had a wild hairstyle too, because he's like nearly balding. It's like not something you'd expect, but that is the Joker makeup and stuff. So hey, it really fits.
Gotham has to be one of the weirdest TV shows I've ever watched. And not necessarily in a good way.
Oh, I see.
I like it. It's not an amazingly written show, in my opinion. And I think all of the Jerome Jeremiah stuff is I don't know if any show could make that work, honestly.
Right.
Especially when they literally brought Jerome back to life after he was shot.
Yeah, that one was. Well, he wasn't really brought back to life, quote unquote. Technically, with puts up nerd glasses and goes like, "Oh no, he's not technically alive." No,
He
No, it-
he was a corpse and then he was not.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, yeah, Jeremiah lives. No, or Jerome lives. No, he does. You guys are idiots. The Jeremiah just like, bang. Like, are you guys fools? I was the one in control this entire time. It's a really silly show.
It's fucking ridiculous. I'm trying to think too, because like there was like a gay subplot between the Penguin and the Riddler for like a few episodes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I remember that.
Feels like a
Which
thing-
was good.
it feels like they tried to do like the Harley Quinn Poison Ivy type thing with them, but they didn't have them
Oh
in the
yeah,
show.
in the animated series.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Gotham as a TV show is watching in real time as the writers regret decisions they made earlier in the show, like making Poison Ivy really young.
Yeah.
What? That was really weird. Huh. I mean, you're on a constrained schedule if you're in a writer's room, and then you have
Yeah.
a bunch of writers collaborating with you. I mean, if you're given a week or so, and then there's arguments going around, and then if there's not a lot of time left, then we can't do anything else but just put something in there. It may not work out. I mean, that happens. If I've heard from experiences of how writers work in writers' rooms,
Mhm.
that not everything gets panned out or fleshed out. I was also thinking, favorite Penguin.
Oh.
Favorite Penguin? I mean, DeVito can't really be beat.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked about it a lot. Like, I love Colin Farrell. I even like Robin Lord Taylor, the guy they had on the TV show.
Uh huh.
Hmm.
But no, I think that's very fair. DeVito is just kind of the like as soon as he appeared and like he bit the guy's nose or something, and it was just like, well, yeah.
It's really like, yeah.
For making fun of his nose.
Yeah. And like
I don't remember.
just his association with birds in general, because he felt very in tune with all of that, especially for the fact that he had the penguins acting as like had the bombs attached to them as like the main plot point, like to defeat Batman.
Yeah.
I think,
I think
yeah.
also DeVito may be more silly than Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's a Tim Burton Batman movie. They're going to they have to be sillier and more like out there, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what keeps me laughing is when Danny DeVito, as the Penguin, just grabbed the note from a was it a monkey?
I think so.
Yeah, it's when the Penguin's about to kill the children, I believe, like capture the children, and then Batman save the children. And then when the Penguin expected the children to come, he received the note from the monkey, from the Batman, saying that the children will regret they won't be able to arrive in the party on time. And then he sees Batman and starts screaming in a silly way. And you see the unnecessary zoom in his mouth. Like, what the heck was that? That sometimes cracks me up.
Special shout outs to Burgess Meredith though, as the old school.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because he despite not looking like an actual penguin, unlike Danny DeVito, he did really well for the campy era that Batman demanded.
He very much set the tone for what a live action Penguin would be.
Yeah, alongside Cesar Romero, Frank Gorshin, and like
Oh, yeah.
Adam
Eartha
West.
Kitt, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Eartha Kitt, favorite Catwoman.
Well, you have Michelle Pfeiffer, you have Anne
I-
Hathaway, and you have Zoe Kravitz.
I think it's Michelle Pfeiffer for me.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
agree.
Zoe Kravitz was an excellent Catwoman. Listen, I am a proud homosexual. I am not immune to Michelle Pfeiffer
Yeah.
perfectly whipping all of those mannequins' heads off.
Yeah.
Which she did in one take, and then there's footage like behind the scenes of the entire crew clapping for her because she did it
Oh, yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
what that's on YouTube, I think, too. Like, there's like
Yeah,
a
like
clip of that.
like Michelle Pfeiffer, especially in terms of like that sleek black outfit with all the stitches
and
before it. Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
yeah.
and then her first line as Catwoman is literally just meow, and it's like, oh god, that's yeah. Okay, that's Catwoman. Like, and it doesn't like, I think especially what helps for me is that she was my first Catwoman, like in terms of live action. Like because I saw Batman Returns first before I saw like the Nolan trilogy. I didn't see the original Batman like with Jack Nicholson as Joker, but
Jack
yeah,
Nicholson.
yeah.
Jack Nicholson was
He's
also a great Joker.
he was a really
Yeah.
fun Joker for sure.
Mhm.
He is, man.
I think more freaky. I believe.
Yeah.
I feel like Jack Nicholson gets left out of a lot of best Joker conversations, and he really doesn't. He really shouldn't be left out.
It was really like when.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I see that he should have had more screen time as Heath Ledger's screen time, and probably
Yeah.
we even get to see a bit of his origin
Which
in the
is.
first Batman of Tim Burton.
I wish they kind of
Before
didn't
he
do.
got into the chemical. Yeah,
It's a weird thing to make him the same person as
Joe Chill.
Joe Chill.
Yeah.
yeah.
Joe Chill, by the way, Nate, is the guy who killed Martha and Thomas Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that they just kind of merged those characters in for the same thing. And do you guys know about the canceled Batman and Robin sequel?
Oh, Batman Triumphant. That's what I think it was.
Something like
No, I've not heard.
something like that. I think it was Batman Unchained. There it is.
Unchained.
One of the things, because so here's the thing that one of the reasons it was canceled.
Django Unchained.
Yeah. One of the reasons it was canceled is that there was one scene that would have been way too fucking expensive to do, where the main villain was going to be the Scarecrow, and there was going to be a scene where Batman was pumped full of fear toxin, and they were going to have all of the previous like supervillains come back in a vision.
Yeah.
So that means like paying for Jack
Nicholson.
Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, Dan DeVito, Jim Carrey, like,
Oh,
and like that would have. Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones, who fucking phenomenal Two-Face as well.
He was really good. as
And-
Two-Face,
Oh, yeah. I agree.
And yeah, that it kind of got canceled because of that, and also because they wanted to put more stake into the Nicolas Cage Superman film, which happened out as it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't pan out either.
Yeah. Oh god, fucking. This is a tangent. Can I talk about the Flash movie?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I won't be able to contribute. I didn't watch the movie, so.
The Flash movie is the worst movie I've ever seen relative to its own budget.
Okay. Fair.
It is a miserable piece of filmmaking that inhabits everything that I despise about modern superhero movies.
Mhm.
For one thing, even without the criminal record, Ezra Miller is just fucking annoying. Michael Keaton looks like he's definitely having a time. Michael Shannon's good for like the little bit they got him for. Sasha Calle's actually a good Supergirl, and I wish he got another chance. But like,
Yeah.
so if you guys didn't know, there is an entire scene in the Flash movie of going through the multiverses, like converging.
I've seen that. Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
Nicolas Cage is in there as fighting a spider.
yeah. Nate, have you seen this?
No, I have not.
So
But
one of the
tell me.
things about it is they have Nicolas Cage there, like as his own Superman,
CGI.
and they also have these ghoulish representations of Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater as Superman and Supergirl,
Uh-huh.
done entirely with AI. And from what I understand,
Whoa.
Nicolas Cage was also entirely AI because he's like, I don't remember shooting anything with like that specific footage.
Yeah, he looks like he's just
That's
plastered in
deceiving.
it.
And
Oh, man.
also,
The problem with AI, it's still going on.
oh, absolutely. Oh, also, they didn't know how to end the fucking movie. So when Barry goes back to his universe, instead of Michael Keaton, the new Batman is George Clooney.
Yep.
So they have to switch from Michael Keaton to George Clooney.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, and this may be a personal opinion, maybe a great opinion, the worst live action Batman.
It's such a weird thing because like George Clooney is one of the most naturally charismatic actors that has ever lived.
Yeah.
He would have been such a great Batman in a completely different project.
I actually think he could be a good Superman if he if he was still
Oh
fairly
yeah.
young, because of it.
Like
Maybe? I don't see that.
Or Hal Jordan maybe too. Depending.
Hal Jordan, yeah. Fucking there was a rumor today about that too because they're making that Green Lantern show.
Mm.
Apparently, and I don't know how confirmed this is, they want Josh Brolin to play Hal Jordan.
Interesting.
I don't know about that. I'm not saying that as in like a decision.
Yeah,
I just don't know
it's
how-
definitely odd.
Yeah, like, can we give the guy a break on comic book movies, please?
Yeah, let him. I mean, he had a fun time with Dune,
yeah,
and he was well enough as Thanos.
and then he was Cable too, and it's like, can we give the guy a break, please?
He was such a good
Even-
Cable.
He was
Yeah.
fun. I just wish that he wasn't also Thanos. I personally.
And that
That doesn't bother me too much because one is more seeing Josh Brolin's face and one is more just a big purple CGI man.
Yeah, true. I just
I
like.
mean- I mean, Josh Brolin went through mocap, and so they have to pixelate
Yeah.
everything.
But no, I get what you're saying. Where it's like you can't unknow that about those two characters, you know?
The other
Yeah.
thing too is like, I wish, I wish someone else also got we got to see another interpretation rather than just Josh Brolin. Like Josh Brolin does really well as Cable. Don't get me wrong. I like his portrayal. I kept looking back at it and I was like, man, Stephen Lang would have been a really cool Cable too.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you said that.
Stephen Lang is my favorite buff old man. Well, no, J.K. Simmons is my favorite, but Stephen Lang is my second favorite buff old man in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Nice.
Another really interesting pick, but I don't know how well it would have been, was Kevin Nash. For those who don't know, Kevin Nash was a WWE wrestler who went by
Oh, yeah.
Diesel. He played the Russian in the original live-action Punisher with
Oh,
yeah, with what's his name, Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Thomas Jane.
I think too. It's like I heard Ron Perlman for Cable at one point. I'm like, that would be
Oh,
fucking interesting.
That
Wow.
would be really cool. No, we didn't get this.
I
What?
think Ron Perlman would have been the perfect one.
Yes!
He might have been,
It
yeah.
would have been so good. Damn it! Like, I have like a list of people that I wish I got to see as like live action so and so
Characters.
character.
Oh,
Like-
absolutely, I
like
do too.
for me, Carl Urban, if he did get a chance to, would have been a great Wolverine. I mean, Hugh Jackman obviously is the Wolverine, but like if
Yeah.
Carl Urban had his chance, if they had to recast, I would have went like Carl Urban.
Oh, speaking of Carl, what's this today? I think the problem with a lot of Batman fan castings is that they only consider the Batman part. Because here's the thing, I've heard Carl Urban for Batman a lot. Carl Urban could be a really good Batman.
Not
He
a
could
good
not
Bruce.
be a good Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I see the
like,
point.
yeah, because like, well, for one thing, we already have a movie where Carl Urban plays a gruff guy in a mask. It's called Dread, and I want a
Yeah,
sequel
that's
to it
true.
as much as the next guy. But like, I think
He was also in The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, as Yeoman.
oh yeah, It's so funny because Nate, you've met our friend Ava. They were on
Yeah.
one of the streams.
Yeah.
I was showing them like a con panel, and he has the beard, so Ava was thinking
Yeah.
of the boys,
Yeah,
and
the boys.
and she was like, "Who is he on Lord of the Rings?" Because he mentioned him like he's Eomir, and she's just like, "Oh, fuck! How did I not notice that?" Because it's just the same thing with blonde hair.
To be fair,
Yeah,
he's
it's
not
crazy.
he's not part of the Fellowship. Like you remember
No,
a lot of
yeah.
the like Faramir, Boromir, Aragorn, like all of them, right? But
Yeah.
when you remember everyone
To be
else.
fair, it's also partially the opposite like aspect for me because I remember Eomir from the movie specifically because he's Carl Urban.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it kind of like once you see his face, it's like, oh yeah, that's Carl Urban. Yep, like you see
Yep.
his face, it's just
That's
like
right away.
uh-huh.
Speaking of Carl Urban's character, was it Butcher?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Billy
Butcher.
The convention I'm going to at the end of this month, FanX at Salt Lake City, I've heard that the actress who played Butcher's wife will be there.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And what's also surprising is that she also voiced an unlikable female Viltrumite in Invincible.
Oh,
What the
Oh,
heck?
nice.
Wait a second, I think I might know who that one is.
I thought, oh man, she played the
Uh,
victim, but then she also
no.
played a terrifying character. I was
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
She plays the victim and then the opposite of a victim.
I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's fun.
And maybe I
Yeah.
don't want to see that part.
No, definitely don't animate that. That's gonna be terrifying because Mark's gonna go through a painful time. I don't know if you know about that part in Invincible Sapph, but
I've only seen the first season.
okay, I
Okay.
will not spoil it for you then because
Thank you.
That,
Oh. I have a funny story about that, by the way. So last year in November, a bunch of friends came up to Michigan to celebrate my 21st.
Nice.
Everybody, thank you. Everybody, we all went out to like this arcade bar in Kalamazoo that was really cool. Everybody went out except for Chase, aka Coffin Jockey, who was like, "Nah, that's too far out. I'm just gonna stay." He's just stayed at my house and just watched Invincible instead.
Yeah.
While we were all out drinking.
We actually met with Chase before.
Oh yeah, you did. You had Chase and Tara on the podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we are working with him and Tara in Tanaka Bridge.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
They're lovely people. I got to see them. What was it? Last July. Yeah, this last July. Always nice seeing them. The nicest people that I've known for a long time.
I think Nate is the only one of the three of us who hasn't met them in real life yet because I got to meet both of them at AX in 2019.
Yeah, I've heard Dusty's story on how he met with them.
Yeah.
And it was a long line, I believe.
Yeah, it was. I walked past it because I did not have a ticket to AX. I just went there to meet up with them.
Aw.
Yeah. No, the first interaction was Tara went once. I was like I snuck up behind her. Went, "Was this seat taken?" She like saw and went bear, and then jumped up and hugged me, and that was the first interaction.
man,
Oh, that's funny.
really
Aw. Every time, like, fucking, this is a long cry from talking about Batman now, obviously, but like, every time I have seen you and Tara in the same space, it has always just been her being like, "Dusty, get your ass up here. I want to see you again."
It didn't used to be the case too because we used to just bully each other, but now it's like
Yeah, just to see who's the worst.
yeah. Now it's not so much the case. Now it's just mostly friendly and just like, hey, I miss talking to you. Hey, yeah, I miss talking to you too. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really involved with the Bridge community, but then you're hearing from Dusty's stories just makes me feel fascinated. Like, man, my best friend just made a lot of friends in this community.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the heck is he going on? What is he doing?
Which is interesting because I also generally keep to myself too. Like there are still a lot of things that people don't know about me in the community that like I think Nate still like even then knows a lot about me, even just in general with the bridging and stuff. So
Yeah.
like you're not missing out on too much.
Yeah, but then I get to like talk to a few others. Like I know there's oh man, a few others.
Like past Ava, Chase, Tara,
Yeah.
and Carrie.
Ava, Tara, oh Carrie. We had a fun time with Carrie.
Mhm.
Carrie's wonderful.
You know what? She just. I will never forget a running joke from her where I think whenever. Oh man, is this?
This was during
It has to-
Tanaka 3 when we were
Yeah.
having her voice.
I mean, really great voice actress. I cannot deny it. But
Absolutely.
then whenever she screams, whenever she brings out her adorable voice, Dusty and I would have this
We basically imitating a
sound
heart
whenever
like
something is adorable.
imagine heart attack for anime style because of adorableness. Like
Yeah.
and
But but the cuteness is so unbearable that it would give us diabetes.
Yes.
Yeah. To be clear, by the way, we're talking about Ava's partner, right?
Yeah, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Davis,
Yeah. Carrie is Ava and Carrie are wonderful people.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And we had a good time talking to Ava, and then we thought about bringing the past guests in Best Butt Fridays.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would. Ava and Carrie would be super down for that, especially since they've been like doing a lot more podcast stuff recently.
Live
Like
streams
that's
on
their
YouTube.
that's their thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is hard to think what kind of topic would we talk to them about? I told Dusty I thought about world building. I mean, they've been talking about that video game.
Ava would definitely have a lot of interesting things to say about world building.
Mhm.
Ava's an incredibly like thoughtful person when it comes to writing. So
Oh, no,
yeah,
I-
they
We know.
Okay.
We've had
yeah,
numerous
I know you know, but it's like yeah, it's they would thrive in something like that as well as Carrie. They're both incredibly smart, thoughtful people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Yeah, something to consider.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Dusty and I are playing this all out, and when it would be the right topic, what would be the right topic for our guests, and when it would be the right time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the past Best Butt Friday podcast, I mean, I know I try to do my best as well as Dusty is trying to do his best. But then there's like, I would get nervous on
hmm
what I'm.
I
what I'm
mean,
gonna say.
that's understandable. It is a live setting, so it's very
But it's
yeah.
It's also past that too is like how familiar you are. That's why so for context for those who are watching, first off, thank you so much for watching all the way up
Thank you
until
very
this
much.
point. We are
Mhm.
technically an hour and a half now, a little bit past it, but
Yeah.
that's okay. We'll I assume we'll be wrapping up soon anyway.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know, because of the unfamiliarity with some of the guests, like example Sapph with Nate, we tried to have like a call beforehand to kind of see how the vibe feels out. Like if conversations can be had this just like naturally or like in a way that doesn't jump over everything, or like one doesn't jump over the other too much, etc., etc. Like vice versa.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's part of the reason we talked about this in the first episode, where it's like when it comes to Nate's comfortability with both like a live stream chat as well as with people he discusses with, it's he's getting better with trying to break out of his shell a little bit, and like hence
You really
why-
are. You really are.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sapph. In fact, not only that, but also I know I posted content on YouTube, but then recently last month, because I just got back from my sister's wedding, which is wonderful.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, thank you so much. I thought I felt more confident when talking to 150 people there, and I thought I would do the same online. So I just posted an update video, and then I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it'd have
Yeah,
to
I
have
mean-
been at this point.
Yeah, it might have been a couple weeks ago that I posted my first 2 YouTube shorts. And,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they were really fun, but I got a sore throat after because I yelled a lot.
I feel
It was
that, yeah.
it was fun, but not fun. But those shorts are bringing out my exaggerated side of doing comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely it's definitely a thing to like just have to get yourself out of your zone like that. For example, recently, not recently, back in January, and I guess this is a good topic to close out on. I did my very first ever convention panel at MagFest.
Oh,
nice.
MagFest! Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it was a panel on and I can send you all the link if you want. It was a panel on the old Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
I adore that. I adore that movie. So I went over to I talked about like why Jean-Claude's performance is so weird, why Raul Julia is like such a legendary actor.
Of course.
Raul Julia. Of course.
And the thing about it is that like I spent 2 months because they tell you that you're gonna do the panel around November, and I had no expectations. I just submitted it for fun, and then it's like, oh fuck, I have to do this now. So I spent a long time getting it done and like making sure it was right. And at a certain point, I had this realization of like, I've done everything I can. This is just now in my hands to like make it work. And it was like the Friday night of MagFest at 11 p.m. and I was expecting 10 people to be there, maybe. And like the most surprising thing ever was like I was setting up. I brought like a prop to like sort of ease my anxiety that I could just like deflect onto if I ever felt awkward, and that was my cardboard cutout of Hideo Kojima.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You've shown me a picture of this too.
But the wild thing about it was like I was still setting up, and I kept looking up as I was setting up because I was just, and the people at MagFest, by the way, incredibly helpful people at the staff. Like if you ever go to a con, just like remember these people are working all day to like make sure everybody's having a good time and is safe, and like I cannot thank the con staff of MagFest enough. But like the room was almost packed by the Dusty found the picture.
Oh, that's cool.
The room was almost packed by the time I finished setting up. And I really wish I got a picture of it, I really did. But it was like a decent sized room that was full with like people that on this night that were just like, I want to hear about that Street Fighter movie with the memes are from, you know? And I did it, and the full panel's available on YouTube on MagFest channel.
Oh.
And after it I was just like I did pretty fucking good with that. Like the audience was very responsive, and I feel like I eventually found my footing with it, and I'm still really proud of myself. I think that's like the best thing I've done all year, and like that's I think if I had to give advice to anybody doing anything like that, it's just that you're not gonna know exactly what you're doing, and that's fine, because you're going to sort of land in that space where you're doing it, and then you're going to find out where you're supposed to be standing, how you're supposed to be talking about things. You're going to hit your stride, even if it feels intimidating.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to read it.
Yeah.
So you were the host of that panel? Or...
Yeah, I was the only person on the panel, me and Hideo Kojima as cardboard.
Oh, dang.
So it was me and Cardboard Kojima staring down like... Oh god, I can't even count in my head. I don't want to say like 100, because that feels like more than it was. It might have been around that much, but like... I cannot go off of memory very well. It was a lot of fucking people.
No, I mean, that's fine. That's catered to a whole like a giant audience. Like even if 100 or even less than that isn't like objectively a lot, that's still a lot in your mind. Like you're just like, oh, hi everyone. It's like
It felt like at least 10 times. Like I thought, like I said, I thought there were going to be 6 people there, Kojima included, and it was just everybody was there. Like the room was piled in. A lot of people that I really like respect and watch online were there too, and that was really sweet. Like Ultima Shadow and the team that makes the Fanime Sparkle on Raven were all there, and they were very very chill and very nice, and I appreciated everybody who came out to that panel and everybody who said anything about it, because that was I put a lot of work into that, and I'm hoping to do another one next year. But that was thank you. Yeah, it's still insane to me that I did that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very impressive.
Yeah, same thing with me. Especially, I just want to. I know that we ran out of time, but man, it just feels really okay to talk to you, Sapph. And so, I just want to bring out. Yeah, you're welcome. I just want to bring out. I felt that way when I have to say a speech to 150 people in my sister's wedding. I mean, that's after the ceremony, and then we had dinner during that time. And so, what happened was I did some improv, but I think back then, no, before I did my improv and speech, I think I was nervous at the time. Like, how would people react to a speech that I've written 2 drafts on? And then by the way, I got some assistance from Dusty, and then making sure that everything is good to go.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, because I don't want to mess it up. I mean, this is a really special moment for my sister and my brother-in-law, her husband, are getting married, and so, yeah, I was nervous at the time, but then I have to make sure that I'm relaxed. And then when I did the improv, I know that I got some big laughs. Because, I mean, they were really good laughs. They're not embarrassing, but I just brought out an embarrassing moment. It was during the dinner where I drank water from a flower vase. It's like, what the heck? Okay, it looks like a water pitcher, and I don't feel any condensation, or I don't feel it being cold. Like there's no ice on it. But I just thought I'm just gonna drink all of it because I'm just sitting at the very left side of the main table.
That's insane. Yeah, like I think something that I'd say about that is like, and this is another piece of advice I would give, where like, if you're doing anything like that, if you can't make the audience engage with what you're saying immediately, make them engage with you, and they will start engaging with what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that was great advice, because that's what I thought about too. Let people listen to what I have to say about me or something, because that's what I did a bit of in improv, and then giving out my speech, which is personal, which is great because it's coming from me, it's coming from my heart, and so and it really worked out. And you know what? Be getting a lot of praise. Like, someone thought the speech I've written was his favorite speech of all time, and I thought, wow.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I just got a lot of praise, and then there are people saying, "Oh man, I've heard that you are writing," and so yeah. And then I think one of them asked me if I could present ideas, and I just talked for maybe more than an hour. Yeah.
Oh, that stuff feels so good.
I mean, it's very relieving, so that way I don't feel trapped all the time, nor feel doubtful when interacting with people. So, yeah, I think it's really fun, and I'm going to continue doing that here in this podcast and even outside of it. Like, man, Sapph, I want to talk more movies with you.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to come back. Like, even despite, like, even if I don't come back, I just want to talk to you more, dude.
Yeah, same. And even the convention stuff too. In fact, my first one was in SakuraCon in Washington State. I think it's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hell yeah, because me and a bunch of mutual friends of Dusty's and just some other people that we know. Just we still go every year. Like
Oh, man.
it's our thing.
Was it every April? Or
Every April, sometimes like late March, but yeah.
man, that's
We're
crazy.
yeah, we're already like pretty soon we're gonna be gearing up to like plan for the next year.
Oh man, that's crazy. And you know what? My sister asked, "What if we go back to SakuraCon again?" And I'd say, "Well, if you have time." And
Oh yeah.
it seems that I'm not really busy with stuff, so I'm not really busy with my job because I already fulfilled contracts and whatnot, and even the busy stuff is passed behind me. And so now it's time to do some personal stuff, like especially the FanX convention this month, and my sister is coming with me, which is going to be very exciting because a lot of celebrities that you could meet in FanX, and it's going to be
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
I even went to a small anime convention in February. That
oh,
is
which
south
one?
from Salt Lake City. It's called Isekai Anime Convention. It's not really the popular ones, but I was interested in the four voice actors that came in to visit, and then I even went to their panels as well, and then I even bought myself some vendor merch.
Oh yeah. Cons are super fun. I go to a few a year, and they're where I thrive, even like if I'm just by myself, because it's like there's never nothing to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah, same with me too. It's more of getting out of my house often, and do other things
Yeah.
that interest me the most, especially conventions. And I'm really excited for FedEx because
Oh
man,
yeah. That'd be fun.
yep, thanks a lot, Sapph. Like I'm
Of
gonna
course.
be
Yeah.
dressing
Oh.
up, and I don't know how people are gonna react to how I dress up.
Well, who are you cosplaying?
So,
Oh
oh
wow.
yeah, Walter White.
Oh, people are gonna love that.
He's about the same
Yeah,
height. He's a little bit shorter than Bryan Cranston, like an inch shorter. So
yeah. I mean, he's 6 foot, I believe. Or
no,
no?
he's 5'11".
Oh, okay. I think I might be 5'10" and a half. So around the same height, but oh man, I'm gonna shave my head. Oh man, and keep the beard,
Yeah.
and then wear the Heisenberg clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fucking awesome, dude. Yeah. But genuinely, yeah. We have been going for a bit now, but I did want to say, it would be we would love to like see you at SakuraCon sometime, like just hanging out with the group. And Dusty, if
Yeah.
Nate goes and you don't, I will find you.
I will find you.
No, you know, normally at a threat like that, I wouldn't be concerned, but because we live in the same state, I'm like,
Without going into specifics, I have a general area to work with at least.
they know a general idea of where I might be. Yeah, so I'd be like, that could be an actual. They might find me for real.
Oh
and
man,
you better come along because
you
what
you
if
better
there's a
come to
bridging
SakuraCon,
point?
especially if Chase and Tara come.
Oh really?
We will see.
We will see. Yeah, yeah. Chase and Tara have been. I saw them last in 2019. Going there, they've been trying to come back for a bit.
Right. I think there's a possibility that I would visit Anime Expo.
Oh, neat. It's that one's personally a little too much for me, you know.
It's really
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot of people there. Yeah.
there's a
know.
lot of people and a lot of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, especially the vendors outside, and then people have to wait outside from all the intense heat.
Yeah,
Even if
Christ, it's
it's ridiculous. And some people complain about it. I think I read a post on Twitter about it. Like, it's not safe to be out here with all this intense heat. And then I feel bad for the vendors too.
It's partially because just they fucking oversell tickets past what they safely can, and and fucking the city of Los Angeles isn't gonna stop them because they bring in so much money.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah. Oh man, but I think, you know, like if we do cut off soon, I think that yeah, this has been lovely, and thank you guys both for having me.
yeah, I think we're out of time. I think we've just passed
We
2 hours now.
no, we are almost at 2 hours. We are 10 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
didn't catch that. But yeah, it's a lovely talk, and it's great chat for the third episode, the third
Yeah.
podcast of Unfinished Drafts. And I'm looking forward to talking to you more, Sapph, and even
Same here,
especially,
dude.
Yeah.
yeah. I
This
think
has been great.
especially, yeah, I think especially when we meet in person.
Hell yeah, man.
Man, it'll be crazy.
All right.
So looking forward to all of that.
Thank you again, Sapph, for accepting our invite to the Unfinished Drafts podcast, episode number 3. And thank you everyone
Oh
for
yeah.
watching on YouTube as well. I appreciate you guys so much. You
Yeah,
can
thank you all so much for watching.
we'll
And I
also
hope you all stay tuned for the next podcast.
yeah we'll be
of Unfinished
providing
Drafts.
we'll be providing Saph's socials down below in the description as well, since they're
Mhm.
our special guest for this episode. But till then, I hope you guys take care. We'll see you guys in the next podcast episode. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Great. See y'all later.